some fraction responsible.
Man, already starting off over-promising and under-delivering. Already.
Well, maybe help us out. I'm curious. Is this correct, though, that the founder of the applied political philosophy of foundationalism, can you start off by just giving us what's a good working definition of foundationalism? What does that mean?
Foundationalism, well, the pithy version of it is foundationalism is the politics of future past. That is, it's an attempt to create a set of guideposts or principles that will helpfully enlighten or outline or assist people in the future in a new dispensation of politics, different than the one we have now, informing that polity. What that's meant to do is to distinguish it from an ideology. It is not a self-contained set of precepts that are going to lead us to utopia and that are meant to be scientific laws of history like Marxism or something like that. It's fundamentally a reality-based program that is meant to guide political leaders in creating the future polity, given that our future polity is going downhill rapidly because of the false premises on which it's based, the anti-reality, and for that matter, anti-God premises of which it's based. Those chickens are coming home to roost. The future will be different. So we need to start thinking about what principles will inform our future.
Is this where the 12 pillars come in?
Yes.
Okay, so those would be the foundational principles that you're arguing need to be used for rebuilding a society that will actually work.
That's correct. And obviously, every society is different. The application of different pillars will differ in different societies based upon whatever the reality on the ground is of that society.
Yeah.
But some principles are universal. For example, one of the principles is sexual realism. Men and women are different. Men and women should be treated different, and that's going to be universal throughout every human society. Though a few of the details may vary depending on cultural or other artifacts, but the fact that that's not going to be radically different because it is what it is. There's no future society that makes any sense where we all pretend that men and women are identical.
I'm sorry. Can I just?
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
This is I think it was one of the questions Knox and I both had, but. So part of my question is where did these 12 principles come from?
Yeah.
And maybe one of the and then sub point to that is, I think it was a little surprising to us that Christianity is point 9, principle 9. When I guess I'm guessing that fundamentally for society to work well, it has to be founded on truth, and the truth is found in Jesus Christ, God's only Son. So there's a sense in which, any principles, however you outline it, would have to be based in Christianity. Christianity can't just be one of the principles. Do you see what I'm asking?
I definitely see the question. So to answer the pithy version of the answer to your first question, where I came up with these principles is I made them up. I mean, in the sense that I didn't go into some cave or, like a second Moses ascend the mountain and return with these 12 principles given to me. But that's actually, I'm mostly joking in the sense that these principles are obvious if you think about it, or most of them are obvious. Not 100% are obvious. That's why it's the politics of future past, a new thing based upon the wisdom of the old. It's a method of distilling, in summary, principles that have worked for successful societies in the past, or more precisely, successful Western societies. I can't claim to really have any insight into what's worked in other cultures or in, Sumer in 2000 BC kind of thing. Probably something very similar, but I don't have any insight into that. As to the second point, it is true that the 12 pillars are not listed in order of importance, but it is also true that I do not regard a successful society as necessarily having to be based in Christianity. It's historically inaccurate to have a successful society defined as a society that conduces to human flourishing. Certainly maximizing that is going to require Christianity, but I tend to, and you'll probably hate this, view at least part of Christianity as it relates to foundationalism as instrumental. That is, Christianity has informed the most successful society the world has ever seen and has underpinned that society. That is the spectacular successes of the West up until the 20th century or so. And Christianity is also true. So therefore, it makes sense for a future society to continue being based on Christianity. But foundationalism is not a creedal exercise. That is, you could entirely imagine foundationalism and its other pillars without Christianity. And while certainly some of those things are linked to, tied with, intertwined with Christianity, some of them basically have no connection to it at all, like space exploration. I think that space exploration coheres well with Christianity. It honors God and his commands, but you could certainly imagine space exploration with not a single reference to Christianity. I don't think you should have that, but the two things are not necessarily linked.
Don't you kind of think that would be important with the God that made the world to follow his objective standards on how the world works?
Sure, that's part of foundationalism. Foundationalism is the politics of reality as well. And since God created the world and God directed us with respect to the world, when you're paying attention to reality, you're paying attention to God. But that doesn't necessarily, you're not paying attention to the revealed aspects of, for example, the Trinity or other Christian doctrines that are revelation rather than objective, kind of observable reality based. So there is a distinction there. You don't have to believe in the Trinity to be a foundationalist.
Right, but if you're building a nation, don't you want a nation that swears allegiance to the true God?
Yes. I mean, I think a successful nation is going to be, a successful Western nation is likely to be a Christian nation. But I can't rule out that is not, you could imagine a counterfactual where that's not true. Foundationalism, Christianity is part of foundationalism, but again, it's not a creedal thing.
So is the object of foundationalism supposed to be looking at what has worked in Western society?
In part, that's a large part of it, but it's also a question of what's worked and what coheres with reality. That is the reality of men and women in the world around us.